I represented this area a very long time. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But what we had here, we see a lot of frum people here. That neighborhood was not frum. But we had 3 yeshivot. We had Miri Yeshiva on Avenue R. We had Chaim Berlin on Coney Island Avenue. And we had on East 7th Street, Torah Vadas. And they helped keep this neighborhood a strong neighborhood. Because eventually people moved in, and the neighborhood grew, as they say, from strength to strength. But they didn't get much services. So when I was a young assemblyman, Josh and I campaigned with the Rosh Yeshiva of Miri Yeshiva to get a light on Avenue R and East 7th Street. It was my second greatest accomplishment up to then. My greatest accomplishment in those days was making Avenue N and O a one-way street. For those of you who may remember, it was a two-way street. It was so narrow, the cars couldn't get through. There were lots of accidents, so we did that. All told, I have represented this area. How many of you here, I don't know, I thought this would go over better, but I don't know. How many of you are under 40? Raise your hands. Okay. You were all born after I was the assemblyman from this district. I have represented this area, Zakheim family knows. I have represented this area for 39 and a half years. First 6 years as assemblyman. Here I want to tell a story. Not only this person who's doing the installation, but I'm the guest speaker, so I can say a lot of things. I first ran in the it was then called the 45th Assembly District. And I ran against the club, Herb Lupka. You may remember him. He was Jewish, but his name was Herb Lupka. So he would always campaign with his middle name, Herbert Saul Lupka, so people would know. But there was a newspaper editor who hated him and kept writing his name as Herbert Sal Lupka and hurt his re-election. Anyway, I ran against the Democratic machine. The first day I ran, I went into Nostrand Avenue and Avenue R to the barber. I had lived in this neighborhood my whole life. This barber had given me every haircut I'd had since I was a little boy. And I went in there and I said, Frankie, he was a nice Italian man. I said, Frankie, would you put a poster in the window? He said, sure, kid. Then he said, kid, I never told you this. I was not only the local barber, I am the local bookie. You are the 50-to-1 underdog. How much you want to bet on yourself? I used to think getting a haircut, the barber had to go to the back of the barber shop and answer the phone every 2 minutes. He was taking the bookie things. I thought he was getting instructions. Cut here, cut there, whatever. Okay, so that's that. And one more point before we get up to Chaim, because it's his day. Chaim, for a while, worked for our present city council. And our present city councilman, for a very long time, worked for me. So I want to just ask to stand up and take a bow. Mike Nelson.
Go up.
How many years you worked for me, Mike?
7 years, 4 months.
What?
7 years, 4 months.
7 years, 4 months. How many days, hours, minutes? Okay. In any case, so Mike is here, and it's great to see him as well. And I see so many of my colleagues. I'm not going to mention everybody, but 2 of the old-timers who were around almost as long as I was are Helene Weinstein, who was assemblyman for a while from this area, still is, and Lou Fidler, who when I ran for Congress in 1980 worked very hard to defeat me. But then we had a lot of friends after that. What do you know? We became good friends. Who remembers? Okay. And I'm glad, Lou, we wish you good health. Refuah Shlema. Okay? All right. So, Sheket Babakasha. Not going to get anything past me around here. This is my old stomping grounds. Okay. I want to say, as I think somebody mentioned, I don't remember, that this is a great day. They said, as Scott Stringer said it, somebody. David Greenfield said it. He said, Chuck Schumer likes to say it's a great day, and it is. It is a great day. And I'd like you to just think about this. We are the only country that for 200 years, more than, has passed the torch of power peacefully. On a cold November night, every November, people line up in quiet dignity and go to the polls. They would want to get home. Maybe they have to put dinner on the table for their husband or their wife or their family. Maybe they're tired. They had a hard day at work. They want to sit down, turn on the television, and put their feet up or read. But no, they wait. They wait their turn in line, go in, do their duty, and then the next morning, whoever wins, we all abide by the decision. No tanks in the streets, no rioting, no screaming. It is an amazing and beautiful thing. And for many of you, I see, who might have been born in other countries, you appreciate it. But those of us who live in America take it for granted sometimes, and we shouldn't, because it's a beautiful, beautiful country. For all its faults, it's a beautiful, beautiful country. So, it is a wonderful thing to be here. I first want to say it's a great day now. Now I get into the great days. It's like, it's like Pesach. You know, we talk about the days and the nights and all that. Anyway, 4 great reasons today is a great day. 4 reasons today is a great day. First, it's a great day for Chaim. Now, you know Chaim's history. He was born in Brooklyn, spent his whole time here. He met his bride, Sarah, 25 years ago, or maybe more, but they're married 25 years. He had his first child, I guess, Racheli is your first child? Racheli is your first child, just a short time after that. And he was working, but he cared about the community. And so, when he was 21 and a new father, he founded something that I consider very important, the Flatbush Shomrim Society. Now, as you know, that is more than one Schumer. My name, as many of you know, because I've said it till I'm blue in the face, comes from the Hebrew word. Schumer was really shomer, which is Hebrew for shomer, and my ancestors were guardians of the ghetto wall in Chortkov, and when they came to America, the immigration officer, who of course didn't speak Yiddish, they said, "What's your name?" Shomer. They wrote down Schumer. But it means policeman. And of course, for those of you who don't know Ivrit, Shomrim is plural for policemen. It means policemen, not policeman. And so he formed a society. It was a neighborhood watch group. And everything is connected. I have a great chief of staff named Martin Brennan. His father, Jumani knows him well, and his father was a famous police chief, Chief Patrick Brennan, who had Brooklyn South, including here. And guess who helped Chaim set up the Shomrim Society and worked with them, but none other than the late Patrick Brennan. So we're all connected. But this is what he did. He went to the NYPD Police Citizens Academy. He went and he learned in the emergency rescue community response team. And he was always involved in the community. He served as the Kojo. He was the police liaison and first the police liaison at the Kojo of Flatbush. Where's Rabbi Pikus? I was there when we formed it many years ago. So was that fun. And he was always caring about the community. He learned about politics. He worked for Lloyd Henry, former councilman. Then he worked for Mike Nelson. So he came from humble beginnings. He always had the community in his bones. And he worked and worked and worked. And frankly, when he ran now, a lot of people said he wouldn't win. But because of his community involvement, because of his strength of character, and because he knew so much, and so many people having worked here, he was elected. So we say that Chaim is a great day for him, because no one put a silver spoon in his mouth, no one plucked him out and said, you're going to run. For Chaim, it's a great day because he got here the old-fashioned way. He earned it. Second, it's a great day for his family. I first want to pay tribute to his late parents, Anna and Akiva. Malcolm mentioned Auschwitz. His parents were Holocaust survivors. In fact, his father was a hero in the Auschwitz concentration camp. And they're not with us any longer. They're a blessed memory. But they are with us. Because when someone succeeds, the number one tool they have to succeed is the values their parents gave them. More important than money, more important than status, more important than anything else is the values your parents give you. And knowing Chaim, Akiva and Anna gave him great values. So it's wonderful for them. It's also wonderful for his present family. Sarah, his wife of 25 years. His brothers, are they here? Jack, Shlomi, and Avi? Raise your hands. And his daughters, Racheli and her husband, Gabriel. Their son, Chaim's first grandson, he's ahead of me there. Took him a little while to get elected, but he has a grandchild, which is my greatest longing. And he's here. His name is Ezra. And we have Shiva and Roni and Rami and Avram Yaakov and his in-laws, Rabbi Esther and Shalom. So let's have a hand for their family, the whole family. Let me say two things. First, as I said, our families give us values. It's a Jewish crowd, I know, it makes a lot of noise. But second, our families have to put up with things for us all the time. I'll never forget this. It was my daughter's 7th birthday party. And we were all sitting down at our house for cake. And I got a call from a pastor of a local Lutheran church that I knew from my years as a congressman. And he said, the Con Ed man is here, and he's shutting off the electricity, and we have our Easter pageant. And there are 500 people lined outside who need to go in, and they're cold. Come, you gotta come. In those days, the Con Ed man shut off the electricity right outside, right at the facility. I went over. It took me 2.5 hours to convince him to turn on the electricity. He did. The people went back in, had their Easter pageant, but I missed my daughter's 7th birthday. Our families have to put up with all this. And they deserve a tremendous amount of credit. When you have someone so active he's in the Schumer Society, he gets called out on emergency all the time. And his families have to live with that and put up with it. We also know our families always have our backs. So I was talking to a gentleman about 3 months ago. And my wife, Iris, I'm married for a little longer, 33 years, she is pulling at my suit jacket. She's pulling. And I said, what are you doing? I'm talking to this guy. She says, don't you recognize him? I said, no, I have no idea. He said, he insulted you 15 years ago. Our families have our back. So it's a great day not only for Chaim, but for his entire family. Congratulations. That's what I'm going to do. Third, this is the same district that I represented. I wasn't a councilman. I was an assemblyman, but it has almost the exact same boundaries. Chaim and I talked about that before he started to run. I know the district well. It's the backbone of New York. It's middle-class people, hard-working people. People who don't want much. All they want is to provide a decent life for themselves and their families. See, now you're doing it. Good. And they want to make sure they could provide even a better life for their children. I know every street in this district. I know everything about it because I've lived here my whole life And I was representative, as I said, for 39 years, 6 for assemblyman, 18 for congressman, and now 15, going on 15 for the Senate. So I know what it needs and wants, and I know who will make a good councilman to bring the services you need. You want safe streets. I remember the time in this district where you couldn't walk outside without worrying, is your car stolen, will you get mugged? You want to have nice parks, you want to have community services, you want to make sure the schools are good. You want to make sure it's the kind of neighborhood that people want to come and live in and stay, so property values go up. It's a very important part, and I know Chaim, and he is just the kind of person you need to keep the services here, keep the city to pay attention to this wonderful councilmanic district, the 48th. And so it is not only a great day for Chaim, it's not only a great day for his family, it's a great day for the members of the 48th councilmanic district, my home turf. And finally, as I mentioned about democracy, it's a great day for these United States of America. You know, we take our democracy for granted, as I mentioned. But you know, when the Founding Fathers created America, they were not sure that this new thing they were bringing back to the face of the earth would succeed. There hadn't been a democracy on earth since Roman and Greek times, 1,000 years, 2,000 years. And they wondered, would it work? In fact, one of the leading ladies of Philadelphia went over to Benjamin Franklin the day after they finished writing the Constitution in Constitution Hall, and she pointed over to Constitution Hall, and she said, Dr. Franklin, what have you gentlemen created in there? And he rifled back at her. He said, Madam, we have created a republic, if you can keep it. Now, what do you mean by that? Well, when you read the historians, what the Founding Fathers were worried about was not what you'd think. It wasn't whether the president should have 2 terms or unlimited terms. It wasn't how long the Supreme Court should serve or whether there should be a House and a Senate. Of course, I think there should be a Senate. It was 2 things. First, they worried would the public participate. They knew human nature. And they know that people are busy. You're busy with your families. You're busy with your jobs. You're busy with the ups and downs of life, which God visits on every one of us. Would people have time to participate in this thing called a democracy? Second, they worried who would run for office. They thought that the people who might run and win would be people who would put themselves first, not the people, not the community they represented. They worried that the people who ran for office would be interested in financial gain, or ego, or power, the blandishments of office. Those were the 2 things they worried about. Now look here at this wonderful room tonight. It is full. It's a cold, still January, yes, Josh? January, okay. It's a cold January night. All of you are busy, but this room is filled with people. People who helped Chaim in his campaign. People who work for organizations. You could be working for your shul or your church. You could be working for a yeshiva or a public school. You could be working in the Schumer Society to keep the streets safe. You could be working in a community organization like Kojo or Flatbush. You could be working in a political club. So yes, the people are participating. Look at this room, filled, I know so many of you, with people working in different organizations. And second, look who we've elected to office. Not someone we know. We know who he is, we know his record, we know he's a good neshama, good soul. We look into his soul and we know that he is someone who will always put the community first. We have elected one of our best. So if Benjamin Franklin were looking down at this room, or any of the Founding Fathers were looking down, they would smile. They'd say, this is the democracy we envisioned, and this is the democracy we wanted. So let's say Hatzlacha. Hatzlacha to Chaim, Hatzlacha to his family, Hatzlacha to the great 48th District, and Hatzlacha, God bless these United States of America. Okay.